that promise. It's your party that's consistently made that promise.
I agree, and I think that the only way to rectify that mistake is to vote Leave.
So it was a mistake. Just to be clear, you're saying it was a mistake to have the 100,000 target.
Yes, I do, because there was no way in the EU of making it work, and that is the outrageous thing. And what we have, I'm pro-immigration. You know, London's thrived with immigration. But what you need is a controlled system. You need to be able to say to people from Australia, yes, we want your brilliant paramedics, or to India, yes, we want your fantastic engineers, or Chinese students, or whatever. But it's crazy when we're pushing those people away and have absolutely no control over huge numbers of people coming from the EU 28. Now, that is one of the fundamental things a state should be able to do. It should be able to reflect the will of its people expressed at an election and control numbers coming in. We have lost control, and it's time to take it back.
Would you have any limits on numbers of people coming in?
I think that the obvious thing to do is to use either an Australian-based system or
but that's about the system. Would you put a limit? Would you give a numerical limit?
I think that the pledge that was made at the election was actually quite reasonable to bring it down to the tens of thousands. What was not reasonable was to say you could do it within the EU system. And you can't, because the EU basically treats Britain as though we're part of one country called Europe, and there are no immigration, there are no borders. Before people say that this is some fundamental principle of EU law, it is not a fundamental principle of EU law. It has been greatly amplified and extended since Maastricht and the concept of EU citizenship in 1991. It is not the law of the Medes and the Persians. It can be deviated from. The only way to change this is to vote Leave on June the 23rd.
I know you're short of time, but just finally, as a politician who has been pro-immigration for many years, it seems like you are using these figures to try to whip up fears of immigration in the referendum campaign.
Absolutely not. I'm the beneficiary of immigration. My family come from immigrants. I'm the proud descendant of immigrants. I was, until recently, the mayor of a city that, as I say, has thrived from immigration. This is a point about democracy. It's a point about public consent for what is taking place. There is no public consent for the scale of immigration we are seeing. There is no public control. People feel that this is happening completely outside their ability to determine, and that is wrong.
But you've been part of a party, a senior figure in a party that has been running the country for 6 years now, presiding over this scale of immigration, and now it's in the campaign that you say it's a scandal, it's anti-democratic. Some people will believe you are trying to use this to get more support in the campaign.
Back at the speech I made at a Tory party conference only a couple of years ago, I made exactly the same point. You've got to have control. This is about democracy. It's about public consent. It's about people's feelings.